So I've been a fitness coach, personal trainer, wellness coach, lifestyle coach, whatever you want to call it, for almost 15 years now. Worked with a lot of people in the gym, in person, online. And I'm going to tell you something that most trainers or coaches will not tell you. And that is most of our clients are going to fail long term. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, it doesn't make for a good sales pitch. But the truth is, 9 out of 10 people that are looking to lose weight or change their life in a meaningful way just aren't going to. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But one of the reasons I want to talk about today is this idea in fitness industry, wellness industry, that if you just do the right things, you're going to get the results. Now, I understand why that might sound stupid and controversial, but I see it all the time when people embark on a training plan, a workout regimen, a diet, a meal plan, and they're doing all the right things, but they're not seeing results. Or they may see results for a little bit, but here's what happens. People always regress back to their default mode. And so that's what I want to talk about here a little bit. Now, the fitness industry is, you're starting to see more of it now. You're starting to see more people talk about mindset and identity and stories. And to me, this is the root of all of it. It's at the heart of why people are able to change or why they're not. And it really stems from your identity. And let's just kind of deconstruct that a little bit more. What is your identity? And for me, it's the lens in which you view the world, in part. It's the stories you have about yourself and the world, how you fit in it, how it fits in around you. It's how you behave, it's how you think, it's how you feel. And so it just makes sense that these things are at the foundation for everything we do. It's who we are. And so if we're going about, eating and training a certain way, but we have these stories and these beliefs about who we are and they don't fit this model in which we're trying to achieve, then we're going to be frustrated. So for example, if you want to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, and you have the perfect training, perfect diet, but throughout that whole process, you're going to the gym out of obligation. You're going out of guilt because let's say you wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom, you look in the mirror and you're just disgusted, like how you look. Or maybe you're not even disgusted. Maybe you're just kind of indifferent even. Maybe you look and see yourself, you're like, it's not great, but whatever. That's a story. Like that's the driver that's the motivation you're taking with you to the gym. So what kind of workout are you going to get? When the motivation is um, that of like shame and guilt or apathy, there's just not much for the actions to take root to. So maybe you'll go and you'll do these things for a little bit. You'll eat right, you'll train, but it's still coming from that lack place, that identity, that story of I'm not good enough. Nothing, no matter what I do, nothing works. No diet works, no training works. Every personal trainer, out there sucks, or whatever the story is you have. Or maybe it's, I'll just give a personal example. When I was younger in grade school, we had this tradition where kids would bring treats for their birthday and they'd pass them out to the class and everybody looked forward to it. Didn't matter, what you brought, everyone loved that tradition. One year it was my birthday and I brought treats in and we had a substitute teacher and he just acted like it was the biggest inconvenience, like it was the biggest waste of time. And I remember feeling like this big on that day, on my birthday. And the story I unconsciously, subconsciously created was don't stand out. Like, don't be seen. Don't draw attention to yourself. Attention means discomfort. And so I took that with me for years as a kid. I had such like social anxiety. Any attention I had, I did not want. I wouldn't go to school dances. I wouldn't do anything real social outside of school. I didn't want to play, many of the sports. I did some of them that I felt comfortable with already, but I didn't want anything new. I didn't want attention, which then led me to this fear that I was going to be bullied, and this fear that because any attention was unsafe, that I then had to protect myself or be able to protect myself, which then led to the gym. And I started working out and I started taking care of myself, which then led to attention, which I then learned could be safe. Then I created the story that I only could have it, or I only had attention because I looked a certain way, which then became obviously another slippery slope. So I went from attention as bad and unsafe and avoid it at all costs to attention's good, but only if I have muscle, or only if I'm in good shape, or only if you get the point. It had these contingencies on it. I eventually, years down the road, learned that I could have attention with and feel safe, that it could be unconditional. I found relationships and friendships where people didn't care about how I looked, or what I looked like, or how lean I was, or how strong I was. And so I slowly over years reprogrammed that story that attention can be safe, attention and love can be unconditional. I don't have to, I can just be myself. And so that we all have stories like this, whether or not we realize it. We all have stories that are limiting us and keeping us stuck in ways that we don't understand. And so the key really is being able to identify what is the story that's running my life. Now, what you want to do is just look at a place in your life where you're stuck. Now, for a lot of people, that could be financially, that could be in fitness, that could be health, that could be relationships. And you just want to be able to kind of pinpoint like what's the underlying belief. And so if we use kind of fitness and wellness as an example, we can even just use my example, right? You know, I'm only good enough if I look a certain way, right? Like I was able to years later identify that story. And then what I was able to do was look for examples where that wasn't true, and, reinforce this new belief that, you know, could I just be accepted the way I was? Like, do people love me just the way I am? And is that true? And can I allow myself to feel that? That's the key. Like, we can understand an idea that makes sense, but unless we're allowing ourselves to really feel it and experience that, then there's a disconnect. And so once I was able to let myself like really embrace that feeling and really accept that as the ultimate truth, and subscribe to that new story, that new belief that I am good enough just the way I am, then that freed me up. And then that meant everything I did then came from a better place. So now when I go to the gym, it's not because I have to look a certain way. Now when I eat and I eat healthy foods, it's not because I can't gain weight. It's not because I, again, have to have abs or I have to look, again, a certain way. It's because I love myself, like, unconditionally. Like, I take care of myself. And there's a whole different inspiration and motivation around it. And to me, that is so key. And that may sound like a small difference. Like, two people could take the same actions and they would get the same result. But, as I'm saying that, I'm reminded of, I believe it's the Stanford study, and it's kind of a famous study of this study where they had two groups of people. They both had milkshakes. One was advertised as a 140 calorie, obviously low calorie, highly nutritious, like fat loss shake. And the other group was told that this was a like 600 or 700 calorie, high sugar, like unhealthy shake. Well, what happened was I believe the group that had the lower calorie shake, all of a sudden that group, what they reported was higher like hunger levels because they thought it was low calorie, because they thought it was a diet shake. They then reported higher levels of hunger hormone. And so that's a good example of how our beliefs around what we're doing impacts actually what our body will do. And so again, that's why you could have two people, same diet, same training. One person believes one thing, one person believes the other, and they'll have different results, different physiological or even metabolic results from that. And so, again, I want to encourage you, just if you're feeling stuck in some area of your life or you're feeling frustrated by some area of your life, it's really important that you sit down and be able to identify like what is like the motivating factor, like what is the thing that's driving the behavior, what's the thing that is driving your actions, and what are the beliefs you have, what's the lens you're looking at the world through, what's the perspective you have on things. Because as we've talked about, your belief, your perspective, your thoughts, your feelings will tell your body how to respond. It will tell you how to act. It will tell you how to behave. So you want to do the right things for the right reason. You don't want to do the right things for the wrong reason. Okay. And so this is really deep work. This is important work. This is the hardest work. This is stuff that's not necessarily talked about with all coaches, trainers, programs. A lot of them are very much do this, do that, which is important, right? Like you can't have just a good mindset and do the wrong things. But we want to have the right, not just mindset, not just motivation, not just discipline, not just do it no matter what. You have to do it for the right reasons. You have to have the right stories. You have to have, and I don't even want to say right stories. You just have to have useful stories for you, right? If what you've been doing isn't working and you have these beliefs around it that just aren't serving you, then it's time to adopt new beliefs, new stories around the process. So anyway, I've talked long enough. I hope this makes at least some sense. If you have questions on it, feel free to reach out. This is the kind of work I do with clients. We get to the root of why this is working, why this isn't working, and we try to connect the dots. And so highly custom, obviously. It's highly specific to the person, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help guide you through this. And so, again, if you have questions, reach out, let me know. That's what I'm here for. And if you did take anything away from this, let me know. And if you know of anyone that would benefit from this, what has now turned into a huge ramble session, then please pass it along to them. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.